My name is Jennifer. I'm 38 years old. And 5 years ago I buried my husband. Except I didn't. 'Cause 3 weeks ago I saw him. Alive. In a grocery store. With a woman and 2 children who called him Dad. Let me take you back to the beginning. Back to when my world first fell apart. It was October 15th, 2019. A Tuesday. I remember because Tuesdays were our favorite. Mike would come home early from work, we'd order Thai food and watch terrible reality TV together. It was our thing. Our routine. But that Tuesday, Mike didn't come home. He was supposed to be returning from a business trip to Seattle. Some tech conference his company was sponsoring. He'd been gone for 4 days, texting me pictures of the Space Needle, complaining about hotel coffee, sending me goodnight messages that made me smile. His flight was scheduled to land at 6:47 p.m. I was at home preparing his favorite meal anyway, lasagna, garlic bread, the works. I wanted to surprise him. 7:30 p.m. my phone rang. Unknown number. Mrs. Patterson? Yes. This is Agent Maria Chen from the National Transportation Safety Board. I'm calling regarding Flight 2847 from Seattle to Boston. My stomach dropped. Is everything okay? There was a pause. A terrible, weighted pause that I can still feel in my bones. Ma'am, I'm very sorry to inform you that Flight 2847 experienced catastrophic engine failure shortly after takeoff. The aircraft crashed into Puget Sound. There were no survivors. The phone slipped from my hand. No survivors. Mike was on that flight. Mike was dead. The next few weeks were a nightmare I couldn't wake up from. Federal investigators came to my house. They showed me passenger manifests with Mike's name on it. Seat 14C. They gave me his wallet, recovered from the wreckage, waterlogged but intact. His driver's license. His credit cards. A photo of us from our honeymoon in Greece, tucked in the billfold. There was a memorial service. Mike's body wasn't recovered, too much damage, they said. Too many remains. They gave me a folded flag and their condolences. His company sent flowers. His parents flew in from Florida, destroyed. His mother sobbed in my arms, asking how this could happen. His father just stared at nothing, silent. I planned a funeral without a body. I picked out a casket that would stay empty. I chose flowers, white lilies, his favorite. I wrote a eulogy I could barely read through my tears. 200 people came. Co-workers. College friends. Neighbors. Everyone loved Mike. Charming, funny, brilliant Mike. The man who remembered everyone's birthday. The man who volunteered at the animal shelter every Sunday. The man who proposed to me on a rooftop under a sky full of stars. The man who was gone. I collected the life insurance. $500,000. Blood money. I didn't want it. But I couldn't work, I could barely function. I'd wake up reaching for him, forgetting for just a moment that he was gone, and then the grief would crash over me all over again. My therapist said it would get easier. That time would heal. That I'd learn to live with the loss. She was wrong. 'Cause you can't heal from a lie. For 5 years I existed. I didn't live, I existed. I went through the motions. I sold our house, too many memories. I moved to a smaller apartment across town. I quit my job in marketing and started freelancing from home. I adopted a dog, Buddy, who became my only companion. I went on a few dates. Terrible, awkward dates where I'd cry in restaurant bathrooms because no one was Mike. No one would ever be Mike. My friends stopped calling. They didn't know what to say anymore. How do you comfort someone who's been grieving for 5 years? How do you tell them it's time to move on? I didn't want to move on. I wanted my husband back. But he was dead. Or so I thought. 3 weeks ago, I was at the grocery store. Nothing special. Just a regular Sunday afternoon. I was in the cereal aisle, debating between two brands, Buddy's leash wrapped around my wrist. That's when I heard it. A laugh. Mike's laugh. That deep, genuine sound that used to fill our apartment. The laugh I heard in my dreams, in my memories, in every quiet moment when I let myself remember. I froze. My heart stopped. I told myself I was imagining it. Grief playing tricks. It had happened before, seeing his face in crowds, hearing his voice in strangers. But then I heard it again. I turned slowly, my hands trembling. And there he was. Mike. My husband. My dead husband. Standing 20 feet away in the produce section, holding a cantaloupe, smiling at a woman beside him. A blonde woman in yoga pants, pretty, laughing at something he said. And two kids, a boy maybe 7 and a girl maybe 5, in the cart giggling. The boy called out, "Dad, can we get the strawberries?" And Mike, ruffled his hair and said, "Sure, buddy." The world tilted. I couldn't breathe. Couldn't move. Couldn't process what I was seeing. This wasn't possible. Mike was dead. I went to his funeral. I scattered his ashes, ashes that weren't even his because there was no body, in the ocean like he wanted. But there he was. Alive. Healthy. With a family. A family that wasn't me. My legs moved before my brain caught up. I walked toward him, Buddy pulling on the leash, whining. "Mike." My voice came out broken, barely a whisper. He turned. Our eyes met. And I watched the color drain from his face. For a split second, I saw it, recognition, panic, fear. Then his face went blank. Carefully, deliberately blank. "I'm sorry," he said, his voice polite but distant. "I think you have me confused with someone else." "Mike, it's me. It's Jennifer." The woman beside him frowned. "Honey, do you know her?" "No," Mike said quickly. Too quickly. "I don't." He turned and walked away, pushing the cart, the woman and kids following, all of them glancing back at me with confusion. I stood there in the middle of the grocery store, shaking, tears streaming down my face, while shoppers moved around me like I was a ghost. Buddy barked. Pulled. I let him lead me outside. I sat in my car for 2 hours, hyperventilating, trying to make sense of what I'd just seen. Mike was alive. Mike was alive. And he pretended not to know me. That night I didn't sleep. I paced my apartment, Buddy following me nervously. I pulled out old photos. Wedding pictures. Honeymoon videos. I stared at Mike's face, trying to convince myself I'd imagined it. But I hadn't. It was him. The same crooked smile. The same scar above his left eyebrow from a childhood bike accident. The same way he tilted his head when he laughed. It was Mike. Which meant everything was a lie. Plane crash. The funeral. The grief. The last 5 years of my life. A lie. But why? Why would he fake his own death? Why would he leave me? And who the hell was that woman and those kids? I needed answers. So I did something I never thought I'd do. I became a stalker. The next morning, I drove back to that grocery store. Parked in the lot. Waited. For 6 hours I sat there watching until finally I saw his car pull in. The same silver Honda Accord. Different license plate, but same car. I watched him go inside with the woman. Kids stayed in the car, playing on tablets. My hands were shaking so hard I could barely hold my phone. But I took pictures. Of the car. Of the license plate. Of him through the store window. When they came out, I followed them. I know how that sounds. But I was past caring. I followed them through town, keeping a safe distance, my heart pounding so loud I could hear it over the radio. They drove to a neighborhood I didn't recognize. Nice houses. White picket fences. Minivans and driveways. They pulled into a driveway, 2247 Maple Street. A two-story colonial with blue shutters. A swing set in the backyard. A home sweet home mat on the porch. I parked down the street and watched. Watched Mike carry groceries inside. Watched the kids run around the yard. Watched the woman, his wife apparently, kiss him before going inside. I sat there until the sun set. Until the lights in the house turned on, warm and golden. Until I saw them through the window, sitting around a dinner table, laughing like a perfect little family. The family that should have been mine. I drove home in a fog. Buddy was waiting, hungry and worried. I fed him, then collapsed on the couch. I needed help. I needed answers. I needed to understand what the hell was happening. So I called the one person I thought might believe me. Mike's brother, David. David and Mike had been close. After the crash, David had been destroyed. He'd given a speech at the funeral about how Mike was his hero, his best friend. If anyone would want to know the truth, it was David. The phone rang 3 times. Then his voice cautious. Jennifer. We hadn't spoken in over a year. I'd pushed everyone away. David, I need to talk to you. It's about Mike. A long pause. Jen, we've been through this. I know it's hard, but he's alive. Silence. I saw him 3 days ago. At a grocery store. He's alive, David. He has a family. A wife. Kids. Jennifer. His voice was gentle, pitying. You're grieving. Sometimes our minds. I'm not crazy. I was shouting now, tears streaming. I followed him. I have pictures. He's alive. Send them to me. I did. Right there on the call. Sent him every photo. I heard his sharp intake of breath. Oh my God. You see it too? That's Mike. That's definitely Mike. Relief flooded through me. I wasn't crazy. I wasn't imagining it. What the hell is going on? David whispered. I don't know, but I'm going to find out. We met the next day at a coffee shop. David looked like he'd aged 5 years overnight. His face was pale, drawn. I've been going through old emails, he said, pulling out his laptop. Looking for anything strange. And I found something. He turned the screen toward me. An email from Mike. Sent 2 weeks before the crash. David, if anything happens to me, I need you to know I'm sorry. For everything. Tell Jennifer I loved her. But some things are bigger than us. What does that mean? I asked. I don't know. But there's more. He showed me financial records he'd pulled. Mike had withdrawn $50,000 in cash 3 months before the crash. Closed out investment accounts. Transferred money to offshore accounts. He was planning this, David said. He was planning to disappear. But why? David shook his head. I have no idea. We need to confront him. Jennifer. I need answers, David. I deserve answers. He looked at me for a long moment, then nodded. That evening, we drove to 2247 Maple Street. My heart was pounding so hard I thought I might pass out. David squeezed my hand. Whatever happens, I'm here. We walked up to the door. I raised my hand. Knocked. Footsteps. The door opened. The blonde woman. Close, she was younger than me. Maybe 30. Tired eyes. Can I help you? I need to speak to Mike, I said. There's no Mike here. I think you have the wrong. Don't lie to me. My voice was steel. I know he's here. I know he's alive. And I know he's been lying to everyone for 5 years. Her face went white. I don't know what you're talking about. His name is Mike Patterson. He's my husband. Or he was until he faked his death in a plane crash and abandoned me. She stepped back, hand over her mouth. Sarah. Mike's voice from inside. Who is it? And then he appeared in the doorway. He saw me. Saw David. And I watched every emotion cross his face. Shock, fear, guilt, resignation. Hi, Mike, I said, my voice shaking. We need to talk. For a moment, no one moved. No one spoke. Then Mike stepped outside, closed the door behind him, and faced us on the porch. How did you find me? Does it matter? David's voice was cold. What the hell, Mike? We buried you. Mike's jaw clenched. I know. You know. I was screaming now. You let us think you were dead. You let me grieve for 5 years. You let your parents bury an empty casket. What kind of monster does that? You don't understand. Then explain. He ran a hand through his hair, the same gesture I'd seen 1,000 times. I can't. You can't or you won't? Both. I stepped closer, fury burning through my veins. You owe me the truth. After everything, after what you put me through, you owe me that much. Mike looked at David, then back at me. And slowly, he nodded. Fine. But not here. Not in front of Sarah. Who is she? I demanded. My wife. The word was a knife to my chest. Your wife? You're still married to me. Not legally. You had me declared dead, remember? I wanted to hit him. Wanted to scream. But David grabbed my arm. Let's go somewhere and talk, he said quietly. We ended up at a park a few blocks away. Sitting on benches in the dark, the only light coming from distant street lamps. Mike sat across from us, his head in his hands. Talk, I said. He took a deep breath. 5 years ago, I made a mistake. A big one. What kind of mistake? I got involved with some people. Bad people. I was doing cybersecurity consulting on the side, and one of my clients turned out to be running an illegal operation. Money laundering, fraud, you name it. By the time I realized what was happening, I was in too deep. They had evidence implicating me. If I went to the authorities, I'd go to prison. My stomach turned. So you faked your death? They threatened me, Jennifer. Said if I didn't help them, they'd kill me. Kill you. I had to disappear. And you didn't think to tell me? To take me with you? I couldn't. His voice cracked. If you knew, you'd be an accomplice. I couldn't do that to you. So I made a plan. I bought a ticket on that flight, but I never got on the plane. I had someone plant my wallet in the wreckage afterward. Someone owed me a favor. I disappeared. Changed my name. Started over. And Sarah? I met her 2 years after. I was lonely. I told her my name was Mark Wilson, that I was a widower. We fell in love. Got married. Had kids. You built an entire new life, I whispered. While I was drowning. I thought you'd be better off without me, he said quietly. You'd get the insurance money. You'd move on. You'd be safe. Safe. I laughed bitterly. I fell apart, Mike. I lost everything. My job. My friends. 5 years of my life grieving someone who wasn't even dead. I'm sorry. Sorry doesn't fix this. David spoke up. Are you still in danger? From those people? Mike shook his head. They went to prison 3 years ago. The FBI finally caught them. I've been monitoring the news. It's over. So you could have come back, I said slowly. You could have told me the truth. I have a family now, Jennifer. 2 kids who think I'm their father. A wife who loves me. I can't just blow up their lives because of what? Because I deserve the truth? Because you lied. He didn't answer. I stood up, shaking. You're going to fix this. You're going to tell Sarah the truth. You're going to deal with the legal consequences of faking your death. And you're going to give me back the life you stole. Jennifer, I'm not done. You're also going to pay back every cent of that insurance money. Because I shouldn't have gotten it. You're not dead. That will take years. I don't care. You owe me. Mike looked defeated. Small. Nothing like the man I married. What are you going to do? He asked quietly. I pulled out my phone. I'm calling the FBI. Wait. No. You don't get to fake your death, commit insurance fraud, and just walk away. Actions have consequences, Mike. You taught me that once. I made the call. 2 days later, federal agents arrested Mike at his house. The story exploded, local news, national coverage. Man fakes death in plane crash, starts new family. Sarah filed for divorce. She was devastated, betrayed, just like me. Mike's parents were heartbroken all over again. First they lost their son, then they found out he'd lied to them. The legal mess took months to untangle. Mike was charged with insurance fraud, identity theft, and a dozen other crimes. He faced up to 20 years in prison. But because he cooperated and provided information about the people who'd originally threatened him, he got a plea deal. 5 years probation. Community service. And he had to pay back the insurance money in full. I testified at his hearing. Looked him in the eye and told the judge what he'd done to me. When it was over, Mike approached me outside the courthouse. I really am sorry, he said. I looked at him. This man I'd loved. This man I'd mourned. I hope you figure out who you are someday, I said. Because the Mike I knew, the man I married, he died a long time ago. Long before that plane crash. And I walked away. That was 6 months ago. I'm in therapy now. Real therapy, processing everything. The grief, the betrayal, the trauma of it all. I'm not okay yet. But I'm getting there. I'm rebuilding my life, a real life this time, built on truth. I'm dating someone new. His name is Chris. He's kind, honest, and refreshingly normal. He knows my story. He doesn't run. And I'm learning something important. You can't control what other people do. You can only control how you respond. Mike made his choices. He chose to lie, to fake his death, to abandon everyone who loved him. But I choose to survive. To heal. To move forward. My name is Jennifer. I'm 38 years old. And I'm finally ready to live again.